Obeah is a system of spiritual and healing practices found throughout the Caribbean. It is a tradition that has deep historical roots, traveling across the Atlantic Ocean during the dark era of the transatlantic slave trade, originating primarily from the spiritual beliefs of West and Central African peoples. Obeah took shape in the unique and, honestly, often harsh environment of the Caribbean islands. It is not a single organized religion with a central text or authority. Instead, Obeah is a diverse set of practices that varies from island to island, from community to community, and even from one practitioner to another, reflecting its complex and adaptable history. The strongest influences on Obeah come from the Akan-speaking peoples of what is now modern-day Ghana, particularly the Asante. The very word Obeah is believed to derive from the Asante Tibui word Obayifo, which can mean a witch, a wizard, or a sorcerer. Enslaved Asante people brought with them their knowledge of the spirit world, their understanding of herbal medicine, and their ritual practices. These traditions included communicating with ancestors and spirits, using natural objects for protection or power, and understanding the balance between the visible world and the unseen forces that influence it, forming the foundational core of Obeah. As enslaved Africans from different ethnic groups were forced to live and work together on plantations, their distinct spiritual traditions began to merge. Obeah evolved, incorporating elements from various African cultures, including those of the Igbo and Yoruba peoples. Furthermore, it absorbed aspects of the belief systems it encountered in the Caribbean. This included fragments of European folk magic, certain Christian concepts, and even the spiritual knowledge of the indigenous Taino and Kalinago peoples. This blending, or syncretism, made Obeah a uniquely Caribbean creation, a spiritual system forged in the crucible of colonial society. This new blended system served many purposes for the enslaved population. It was a source of healing when European medicine was unavailable or untrusted. It provided a sense of justice and power in a world where they were legally powerless. Obeah offered a way to make sense of suffering, to seek protection from harm, and to maintain a cultural and spiritual connection to an African homeland they had been forcibly taken from. It was a hidden transcript, a private world of belief and action that existed just beneath the surface of the oppressive plantation system, offering hope and agency. The practitioners of Obeah, often called an Obeah man or Obeah woman, are individuals believed to possess special knowledge and power. They are not priests in a formal church, but are more like spiritual consultants, sought out by individuals for specific needs. Their role is complex and multifaceted, operating within the community as healers, advisors, and sometimes as agents of retribution. People would visit an Obeah practitioner in secret, often under the cover of darkness, to seek help for a wide range of problems, from physical illness to matters of the heart, financial troubles, or legal disputes that the colonial system would not solve fairly. A central part of an Obeah practitioner's work involves the use of natural and symbolic objects. They are masters of herbalism, possessing a deep knowledge of the local plants and their medicinal or spiritual properties. They prepare baths, teas, and poultices to cure sickness or to cleanse a person of negative energy. Beyond herbs, they utilize a vast array of items: graveyard dirt, feathers, bones, stones, colored threads, and personal items belonging to a client or their target. These objects are assembled into powerful bundles, charms, or guards designed to protect a person or to influence a situation in their favor. Obeah is often described as having two sides, a duality that reflects the complexities of human life. It can be used for good or for bad, depending on the intention of the client and the ethics of the practitioner. The same powers used for healing and protection could also be turned to cause harm, a practice sometimes referred to as putting Obeah on someone. This could involve rituals intended to bring about misfortune, illness, or even death to an enemy. This duality made Obeah both a source of comfort and a source of fear within communities, a powerful tool that could restore balance or disrupt it entirely. The work of an Obeah practitioner is deeply personal and ritualistic. A session might involve a detailed consultation or a form of divination to diagnose the root of a problem, whether its source is natural or supernatural. The practitioner might then perform a specific ritual, which could include chanting, prayers, or making offerings to spirits. The solutions they provide are tangible. A client leaves not just with advice, but with a physical object, a powder to sprinkle, an oil to anoint, or a small bag to carry, that embodies the spiritual work that was performed and serves as a constant, physical reminder of its power. In the context of Caribbean slavery, Obeah was far more than just a personal spiritual practice. It was a potent instrument of resistance. The plantation system was designed to strip enslaved people of their humanity, culture, and power. Obeah directly challenged this by providing an alternative source of authority and justice that operated outside the control of the slave masters. The Obeah practitioner was a figure of respect and fear, often wielding more influence within the enslaved community than the white overseer. This spiritual authority fundamentally undermined the absolute power that the colonial regime sought to maintain over every aspect of life. Obeah played a crucial role in inspiring and organizing slave rebellions. Leaders of uprisings, such as Taki in Jamaica's 1760 revolt, were often Obeah practitioners themselves. They used their spiritual authority to unite disparate groups of enslaved people, assuring them of supernatural protection against the bullets of their oppressors. They would administer oaths of secrecy and loyalty, binding the rebels together in a powerful pact. They also created protective charms and powders that were believed to make the fighters invincible, giving them the courage and conviction needed to rise up against a heavily armed and brutal system. Beyond large-scale revolts, Obeah was used for everyday acts of resistance. An enslaved person might consult an Obeah practitioner to seek protection from a cruel master's whip, or to inflict illness or misfortune upon an abusive overseer. Obeah could be used to create confusion on the plantation, to protect runaway slaves, or to ensure that a legal case brought against an enslaved person would fail. These small acts of magical warfare served as a constant, underlying threat to colonial authority, creating an atmosphere of fear among the white population, who genuinely believed in and were terrified of Obeah's power. Because it was so closely linked to resistance, colonial authorities viewed Obeah as a serious threat to public order and the stability of the plantation economy. They passed harsh laws specifically designed to eradicate it, making its practice a crime punishable by severe flogging, imprisonment, or even death. These anti-Obeah laws were not just about suppressing a religion. They were about crushing a vital tool of Black resistance and cultural identity. The relentless persecution of Obeah practitioners was a clear acknowledgement by the colonial powers of just how much they feared this African-derived source of spiritual power. Despite centuries of legal persecution and condemnation from colonial authorities and Christian churches, Obeah has survived. It continues to be practiced today, though often in the shadows, maintaining the secrecy that was essential for its survival. In many Caribbean nations, the anti-Obeah laws enacted during the colonial era remained on the books for decades after independence, only being repealed in recent years. This long history of being outlawed has forced the practice to remain underground, passed down through oral tradition and private apprenticeships rather than through public institutions. Its persistence is a testament to its deep cultural roots and its continued relevance to people's lives. The perception of Obeah in contemporary Caribbean society remains complex and often contradictory. For some, it is still associated with dark magic, evil, and criminality, a view heavily influenced by colonial propaganda and religious opposition. It is often sensationalized in the media and popular culture, reinforcing negative stereotypes. However, for many others, Obeah is seen as an important part of their cultural heritage, a legitimate form of traditional medicine and spiritual consultation. They view it as a powerful connection to their African ancestry and a valid way to seek solutions for life's many challenges outside of mainstream systems. The practice of Obeah has continued to adapt to the modern world. While traditional healers in rural villages still offer their services, some modern practitioners may advertise online or operate in urban centers. The problems they are asked to solve have also evolved, now including things like passing visa interviews, winning lottery numbers, or securing a job promotion. This demonstrates Obeah's incredible flexibility and its ability to address the contemporary anxieties and desires of Caribbean people, proving that it is not merely a relic of the past, but a living, breathing tradition that changes with the times. Ultimately, Obeah represents the enduring spirit of African cultural and spiritual resilience in the Caribbean. It is a powerful symbol of survival against overwhelming odds. It tells a story of how oppressed people held on to their own systems of knowledge, power, and healing in the face of brutal suppression. While it may remain controversial and misunderstood, Obeah is an undeniable and integral part of the Caribbean's cultural landscape. Its ongoing presence speaks volumes about the importance of tradition, identity, and the unending human search for justice, protection, and meaning in a complex world.